Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to look at the US Marine Corps. This is the last of the 5 specializations, or one of the 5 specializations that is going to be available to us at full release of the game, which is in June. So I do hope you guys are enjoying, some of these little bits of content while we wait for the game to release. So we're going to start with the Recon tab here. Force Recon, one of the most coolest recon units in the game, in my opinion. It's a 6-man squad with really nice weaponry, grenade launcher, DMR, and an AT4. So it has a bit of everything. You can keep it in Green Ops, which is this loadout, or go for Black Ops, which makes it fully anti-infantry. You get 2 shotguns. Okay. And you get the Mark 18 CQBR. And instead of the AT4, you get the M72 Law, which is good against very light unarmored vehicles. Also good against infantry because it is a high explosive rocket. But that is about it. But the unfortunate thing is these guys cannot laser designate. For that, you need scout snipers. Now, these guys have a DMR and a sniper rifle. You can upgrade this guy to have the M107 instead, which definitely boosts your firepower. Instead of a regular sniper, you get the 50 cal. To put it bluntly. And yeah, as I said, they can laser designate, super stealthy. So, stealth of 3, which is the highest, whereas the Force Recon is 2.5. Which is also really not bad. Humvee GMV, just a regular Humvee. It's a recon Humvee, nothing too special. It cannot laser designate, but you can give it a minigun, a 50 cal, or a grenade launcher. Honestly, the minigun, I have never really used it, but I do kind of want to try it. But then again, the 50s actually do some penetration, 20 to 40, whereas the minigun is 10 to 20. But yeah, it is obviously going to melt infantry. It's a 7.62 as well. Then we have the IFAV M2. Now this is just basically a Land Rover. It can be given the 50 cal Mark 19 or TOW 2A, which is direct attack tow. And the cool thing is it is airdroppable. So if you want to combine it with like Spec Ops or Airborne and drop a lot of things on the front or behind enemy lines, you can even include some recon vehicles like that. Including the LAV-25. This is also airdroppable with the regular armor. Now, if you go for the upgraded armor, optics, or smoke, if you go for the upgraded armor, some vehicles cannot be airdropped anymore, but this guy can, which is really cool. You cannot upgrade the armor or the weaponry, but it's actually quite decent already. 60 to 120 millimeter pen on the AP and 25 heat pen on the HEIT. So, high explosive incendiary tracer, I believe that's what that stands for. It's a really good vehicle to have, good fire support. Now in the infantry tab, we do have a lot of options. So we have the Assaultman. This is a small team. It's an 8-man squad, which is massive actually for like fire support, with 2 smalls. Now these are thermobaric, meaning basically high explosive napalm, or you have the anti-tank, which does a lot of pen actually, 600 millimeters. Now, instead of that, you can go for the S.RAW, which is more, well, depends kind of how you look at it, okay? So, against infantry, this would do, let's see, 8.5 damage, 85 mil. So, yeah, let's just look at the damage, 8.5, blast radius 16, whereas the S.RAW is 14 and 28. So, yeah, this does much more damage, but you don't get the anti-tank rockets with this. So, you're mainly anti-infantry, anti-light vehicles, and helicopters. Yeah. So then we have Cat Dragon, and this is once again one of my favorite types of units that have a bit of everything. So you have a light machine gun, you have a 50 cal, and you have 2 Dragon 3s. Now you can upgrade this to have javelins instead, but the cool thing is here you have 2 javelins, which is quite nice. You fire 2 missiles at once, whereas this is just a singular missile that you fire, but it is a javelin. So you kind of just have to think about your use case. So Dragon is up to 1,000 meters, 750 heat, it's a direct hit, whereas the Javelin is 1,300, so 300 meters more, and it's top attack, which is going to almost guarantee a kill. Then we have a TOW 2A, so a dedicated ATGM squad with either TOW 2A direct attack or the top attack. Top attack doing more damage is what I would recommend. And you don't sacrifice on range, so that is cool. Marine Raider CQC, one of the best infantry units in the game based on the previous open beta. It's a 14-man squad. You have 2 loadouts, door kickers, which is anti-infantry, with double grenade launchers and 4 shotguns. And you have an M72 Law against some light units. Or you have the standoff with more heavy weaponry. 2 Mark 48s, 2 Scar Mark 20s, 7.62, and you have the Moz, which does much more damage, of course, than the M72 Law. You still do have 8 rockets, so that's kind of nice. Last but not least, of course, we have Marines. It's a 13-man squad versus 14 here. And the Marines either have the reserve Marines loadout, so you have underbarrel grenade launchers and a couple of machine guns, or you have the raw, you know, the actual Marine loadout, which gives you grenade launchers once again, and 6 AT4s. Is what it says, yeah. All of these basically have an AT4 with 1 rocket in there. That is it. So, whichever squad member is fighting, it has an AT4, pretty much. Well, almost. Almost all of them. So in the vehicle tab, we have some very cool vehicles. We have the AAVP 781, which is a very big transport, 21 seats. Decently armored. You can even upgrade its armor to have 100 protection against kinetic and heat. It comes stocked with grenade launcher, which is really nice against soft targets, and it has a 50. Then we have a wheeled transport, 13 seats compared to 21, so a bit reduced in seats. You can up armor it a little bit, which increases your side armor. And you can even give it a Bushmaster autocannon, which is only 25 points. So that is actually kind of nice. And it does quite a bit of damage. 75 to 150 millimeter kinetic. So honestly, not that bad. Not that bad at all. LAV-AT, we have an ATGM vehicle here at our disposal. It has the TOW-2A, which is anti-vehicle. 900mm heat, direct attack, so not top attack, and then a TOW-2BB, or TOW-BB, which is high explosive, so mainly against infantry and light vehicles. Or we can give it the modernized one, which gives you the TOW-2B, the top attack. So that is the main difference there. For 25 points you get top attack AT-gems, which is definitely worth it. We do have some tanks, so we have the Marine Abrams, the M1A1 FEP, which can be given either the trophy or the jammer. So the jammer will work always while it's alive. The trophy only has 4. But 4 is pretty good. So if you have a supply truck nearby or a supply dump, you can get that rearmed. And you can upgrade its armor. This is mainly for the side, but do notice that you get 1 more 50 cal. So that is quite interesting to have. And you gain 1 more HP. So the hit point does increase, even though it's your side armor that is increasing. Then we have the M1A1HC. I always like to call it just heavy cannon one because I like to use these against infantry. Because it's relatively cheap. It has, you know, the 50 cals, M240s. It has a good cannon. You get the jammer system. So I'm not really planning to fight heavy tanks or anything with many ATGMs. But this is usually what I like to use for tanks or for infantry fights. And, you know, it's relatively cheap, so that's nice. And last but not least, the M60. Now this is, I saw this being used a lot like 2 betas ago. It's very useful, but kind of turned into a glass cannon considering all the different types of weapons that are out. You can either make it a CEV, which is a big ass cannon, 165mm. A lot of damage. 17 and a blast radius of 44. Or you can go for the M60 cannon, which is 105mm. So you have an actual, you know, anti-tank weapon. Whereas the CEV is more of an assault gun kind of thing. So support tab, you don't have much here. You have the Miklik. This is your, like, coffin thrower. Okay. This is a coffin launcher. Or instead of this, you can go for the Catfay, which I have not used, but it's a mortar, is what it's kind of categorized at. But it's basically a mini MLRS. But I have not used it. It does do, you know, very little damage or penetration, but it does do quite a bit of damage, and it has a high blast radius. So if there's like a force with a lot of infantry, you will definitely stun whatever is in there. Then we have the LAV-AD. Now this is one of my favorite anti-air units. It's very, very powerful. I just love to use this thing. It has a Gao 12 25mm, and it has 8, well, it has 2 stinger pods with 4 each, and then it has a reload, so 16 stinger missiles, which is very good. And these are fast, you know, you get them where you want really quick, you're mobile, and you will definitely destroy some helicopters with this. We have an LAV-L. This is, well, just a fire support one, nothing too crazy. It can also carry some supplies, so that's kind of cool. Then we have LAV-M, which is a mortar, 81mm. It can be either given just a regular 81mm, or the Dragonfire, which upgrades it to 120mm, and also giving you guided rounds. But not that many. So if you're mainly a smoke user, keep it on the 81. If you do like your artillery a lot, maybe upgrade it. We do also have a big supply truck. This is the LVS-R with 15 tons of carry capacity. And we have the MTVR, which has 6,000 kilograms of carry capacity and 18 seats. So you can also use it as a troop transport. Or both, you know. Helicopter tab, we got some really fun ones. We have the Super Cobra, the Chupacabra, which on the outer pylon can be given rockets, Hydra rockets, TOW-2s. Now these are direct attack ones. And then we have more TOW-2s, so either 4 or 8 on the outer pylons. Hellfires, Sidewinders, or Sidearms. And these are anti-radar missiles. So, seed missiles. Let's see here. And on the inner pylons, we can give more rockets. So we got that. Now the Viper is also a helicopter we can have. This is a really cool one. We can give it Sidewinders, or also Sidearms on the wingtips. Outer pylons, we can have rockets or hellfires, and inner pylons, basically the same thing. So what I used to do with the Vipers was just give it hellfires. And on the wingtips, I would give it usually actually sidearms, so that if there is any radar AA, I actually have something to, you know, take it out with. Now Super Stallion, mainly I used this as a supply heli. 14.5 tons of supplies or carry capacity and 30 seats, so it can actually act as a troop transport, but I wouldn't recommend it because of its relatively low electronic countermeasures. Then you have the King Stallion, which is a bit more suited for that because you have double the ECM, more seats, well actually same seats, more carry capacity. Then you have the Osprey, which is less carry capacity but much faster. This thing just zooms. And we have the Venom, so we have actually some small helicopters for transporting units around 8 seats, limited carry capacity, so it's very just to move 1 or 2 squads around, you know. Nothing crazy. Now in the air tab we have the Harrier 2 Plus, which is like your close air support unit. You can either give it air-to-air or seed, which is pretty cool, so you can make this into a seaplane instead of using the Prowler, but I wouldn't recommend it, and you will see why. Middle pylon, many air-to-air, so either short range, long range. We can give it seed, Mavericks, so these are ATGMs, or gravity bombs. Inner pylon, basically the same thing, but now including rockets and fuel. And on the center line, we can give it the Gao 12, which is a 25mm. We can give it ECM pod, Gao 12 and ECM pod, or Gao 12 and designation pod. Now if you were to go for ECM pods, how many can we get? Just 1? Yeah. That is not a lot, so this thing is very vulnerable. Then we have the AV-8B Night Attack, and this is more of a bomber variant of it, so you can put a lot of Mark 84s on this, or 82s if you want. You can also put Mavericks on this, but this is really your slow flying bomber. Let's keep it that way. But you can change it to whatever you want, so if you really want to use it for infantry support, you know, you can put some bombs on there, some rockets. Maybe a Maverick here and there, you know, to make it multi-purpose, and a Gao 12. Only 205 points, and you have a bit of everything. The Prowler, so this is your anti-radar. So on the outer pylon and the inner pylon, you can put 2 harms on each, which is your best seed missile in the game right now, on NATO, on the American side, giving you 4 seed missiles for 240 points. Almost guaranteeing a kill. I'm not saying it is guaranteed a kill, but you can get 2 of these Prowlers, I believe. Maybe even more. And if you have a teammate with Prowlers themselves, you can just overwhelm the enemy AA. So it's really good. Then we have the FA-18 Sea Hornets. Now this can be your fighter, and I would recommend it because you have the AIM-174s with 9,000 meters range, whereas the MRAM is 7,000. So it's very, very good. So I would get the AIM-174s on the outer pylons. And then instead of Zuni rockets, I would probably just get more AIM-174s. Or you get MRAMs. Okay. Then you have 2 AIM-174s, 6 MRAMs, and then, yeah, that's what you could get. Or if you really want to have just very long range, you can do this. 4 AIM-174s, 2 MRAMs, 2 Sidewinders. That's pretty cheap, honestly. It's not that bad. FA-18D Hornet, this is more of a bomber version of it again. Honestly, I am a fan of using Mavericks a bit more after the single-player campaign missions. Or the single-player missions in the game. So I might put more Mavericks on my planes. And, you know, mix them up with some bombs. And probably go with something like this. Or just even, you know, just remove the long-range anti-air stuff. And just give it fuel. Or just more Mavericks. Just 4 Mavericks, destroy any tank you see, and get out. F-35B, so if you're really planning to get out, this is the thing to do it with. It's a very stealthy bomber, and the way I usually build this is just to get JDAMs, and just drop them on the enemy, and you're gone before they can even detect you. It's great. And last but not least, we have the KC-130J Harvest Hawk. It's a low-flying transport. It's very nice to use, because you're harder to detect than, you know, a C-17, for example, because you fly at a much lower altitude, and your survivability is thus a bit more increased, because the AA will be far back, they might be obstructed by hills, by buildings and whatever, and they might not even be able to detect the plane. Or shoot at it if something else detects it. So it's very good, and it has a lot of carry capacity. So you could use it as a quick, you know, supply dumper. And it has 64 seats, that is quite nice. So with that, we come to the last specialization in the on the side of the USA. We do have some to check out on the Russian side. We have 3 to check out. So we have the VDV Brigade, we have the Coastal, so the guard tank, and we have the Coastal to check out. So we have already done the mechanized infantry, we have done the motorized infantry. So we want to check out the 3 original specializations, and then we're going to also look at different combinations, and then give you guys a flying start when the game is out. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, let me know, and I'll see you guys back in the next one. Take care.